Look, we're back here making another video like this, and this is going to be a story video. I know I'm not really someone who makes like story content or anything like that. I'm, like I said in the last few videos, I'm just trying to personify. I don't know the word. I'm not good at English. I'm trying to make this channel a lot more my own and trying to insert my personality into these videos and give you guys a good look at who I am, because I don't fake anything for videos. So I have a little bit of a story, and it's mostly happening. This video is mostly happening because my girlfriend and I just went apartment hunting, and while talking to not only our leasing agent but the property manager of a few of the apartments that we looked at, I started getting really irritated with the current situation that we live in, which I will get into. The other thing I wanted to mention is I know that I've been getting frustrated in the more recent videos, and I just want to say that I'm not playing anything up for the channel. Like, I seriously just, I want to give you guys the most authentic content I can. I don't want people thinking I'm sitting here trying to get angry, because I just think that shit is stupid. Like, I genuinely, I just have anger issues. Like, that's all it is. I'm genuinely just mad all the time. It's a New York thing. I don't know. Also, I've slowly been drinking G Fuel more, just as like a way to keep my energy up, to try to get myself away from drinking energy drinks a lot of the time. I forget how good some of the flavors are. Like, Jev's Raging Gummy Fish has always been my favorite, but this Hype Sauce one is so good, man. It's like a raspberry lemonade. It's fucking incredible. I also look really greasy. We had a barbecue at work today, so I feel like shit, like literal shit. So to set the scene for this story, I need to kind of tell you guys a little bit about the living situation my girlfriend and I find ourselves in right now. My girlfriend and I currently live in one of the higher end areas of the state that I live in. I'm not trying to flex. It's just a fact. Okay. We live in a nicer area, and I make a very good amount of money for being a 22-year-old. Now, I mentioned being 22 because I personally feel like that has a lot to do with my frustrated stance on the situation that we're currently in. But you guys can let me know in the comment sections below if you would also find this situation frustrating. Part of the American experience and being a young 20s individual who makes a decent amount of money is, most of the time, people are going to be very respective towards your grind, especially from those who were in a very similar situation. A lot of the people that we live around or live with or anything like that, they came into money within their early 20s from their own either entrepreneurship or just from working really fucking hard. And that's something that I've had instilled with me pretty much my entire life. Even though growing up I didn't have this money, I have a lot of it now because of my own hard work. Again, that sounds really snotty and really shitty and annoying to say, but I need to say it and get it across because it has a lot to do with the story. So about a year ago, my girlfriend and I came back from our Hawaii trip, and to very good news that I was getting a promotion at work. Now, at the time, I had been working pretty much like 2.5 jobs. I say 2.5 because I was doing a lot of like really niche side gigs to get money, but I was pretty much working like 50 hours a week or more while being a full-time student. It was really rough. Like, it was a rough time for sure. How is that a So after coming back from Hawaii, I started my new position, and I effectively was able to get myself a lot better of multiple situations. I was able to get a new car, and I was finally able to move. At the time, my girlfriend and I lived practically in the downtown area of the metropolitan area that we live in currently, which is basically a shithole. Think of it as like a not as bad LA, but a little bit worse than San Francisco. Okay, like think of it that way. That's the best way I can explain. It was one of those places where you just didn't want people to come over to. Going to get food was a fucking hassle. Like, it was just really rough for a little bit. Like, it was a little over a year, maybe a little less than a year. And we figured that really any time between August and December would be the best time for us to move. So we started looking at apartments. We looked at a lot of different ones kind of in our area, just at a better price point. But then we also started looking in the area closer to my work, just because I didn't really feel like commuting 45 minutes to work every single day. And one day we were looking for food. We stumbled upon a In-N-Out, I think, or something, and we ended up just kind of driving around and stumbling upon the apartment that we currently live in. We basically fell in love with it immediately. It was really hard not to. The apartment is super private. The security around here is great. Again, it's in a really nice area. It's not even a 10-minute drive to get to work. It's seriously in a perfect location. There's also like a Trader Joe's and a Whole Foods and a Sprouts and even like a Walmart down the street. So there's really everything kind of in a really nice vicinity. On top of that, the amenities were pretty much exactly what we were looking for. They were 24 hours. You need a key fob to get in and out and all over the building. And to top it all off, to make it even better, it was really affordable for us. Like, I'm talking like it was not a hassle whatsoever to go from our old place to the place that we're currently in. And that was one of the biggest things for me. It was better for our cat. It was better for us. Pretty much everything seemed perfect. And this is when it starts to take a turn. Right off the bat, the leasing office that was there at the current time is phenomenal. They're still some of the favorite people I've ever worked with in terms of moving. Again, I've moved like 7 times within the last 6 years or so. So they were incredible. They were really nice. They were really transparent. They were telling us everything we needed to know. The only thing was that our leasing agent had pretty much been working there for about a day before we started touring. We got the pricing for everything. We figured out what the promotion was going to be, and we just went with it. Everything was going really well. I applied for it, got accepted. We put down our initial down payment, whatever it was. Now, at this point, it's pretty much September. It's like in the middle of September, we do all this. I get approved almost instantly, and we're getting raring to go. We're figuring out when is the best day for us to move. We decide that on October 1st, our new 15-month lease is going to start. And that was pretty much the end of it. After 2 weeks, we were getting ready. It was pretty much the weekend before. Honestly, I don't even think it was the weekend before. I think it was literally the day before we moved in. I got a call from the other leasing agent that had worked in the office. They just said that they were checking in because we were going to move in the next day and go get the key, and they were really excited to have us and all, you know, the basic like sales stuff. And then they asked if our leasing agent had promised us any concessions, and I was a little confused by that because typically the leasing offices all know the concessions that they're giving the people that they're moving in. The concession that we were promised was that the first month of rent was going to be waived and that the next 2 months were going to be prorated as if we were only moving in for half of it. So essentially we were getting a month and a half for free. And I wasn't really thinking when I took that initial phone call, so I just said, no, I mean, everything is all set, like we're good. And he was like, okay. And that was the end of it. That was at least what I thought the end of it was going to be. You know, my girlfriend and I are moving into our dream apartment. We're going to be able to give our cat a nicer home. Everything was going really well, like I mentioned. And then pretty much within the next hour or two, I realized that what I had said was incorrect. So I called the leasing office back and let them know that, yeah, our leasing agent had promised us this concession. Almost immediately, it was like the leasing agent that I was on the phone with, not the one that we had signed our lease with, but the other one, was very disappointed by hearing this. And it took him a while, but eventually he told me that there was no such concession on the room that we had signed for, which was a certain floor plan. Now, when he told me what floor plan it was, I was very taken aback because this was not the floor plan that we had applied for. And so I let him know, and I showed him the contract that we had initially signed alongside everything from our old leasing agent in terms of emails and conversations. He essentially told me that we were signed and given and promised the wrong unit and that there was no way for them to make a correction. I like to say I'm a pretty chill guy, okay? Like I'm not a Karen. I'm really not someone who makes a lot of complaints in terms of anything. Like if a restaurant gives me the wrong plate, I'll just take it. Like, it's not worth the hassle. In my opinion, my life is way too good to really make any complaints. But I was fuming when I heard this. I was very upset because this was really the first time in my life where I felt like I was doing something really nice for myself and also for the girl that I love. Like, it was a really big thing to just kind of get stripped away. And so I said, you know, I know it's not your fault, but I think that's extremely ridiculous. I don't agree, and I would like to talk to whoever's in charge. And so, at least for the state that we live in, it seems like the way that leasing offices work for apartment rentals is there's 2 or 3 leasing agents, there's one head like leasing manager, and then there's a community manager, someone who works maybe a handful of days per location and just kind of monitors every situation. So I said that I would like to speak with the leasing kind of director at the time. And of course he was like, yeah, of course, that's super doable. Like, we'll have you speak with her the second she gets in today. And then she called me. And when she called me, she essentially told me that I was shit out of luck for anything that she could do. Like, there was nothing she could do, nothing could be done about it. And at this point, I wasn't even really worrying about the apartment that we were going to be living in. I was more worried about the concession because we had budgeted and planned for this. It was really like going to be a huge opportunity for us to save a lot of money. And so when she told me that, I was very upset, and I was basically saying like, okay, like, this isn't fair. If we don't do something, I'm going to have to get my legal team involved. And I have lawyers and family friends who have represented my family and people I know. So I do have like, I have connections. Okay. Like, it's not just something that I would say just to try to make a quick like buck out of somebody. Then she got me connection with the person who is pretty much the sole reason I hate living in this apartment complex. She put us in touch with the community manager. Now, this community manager is a very interesting individual. Talking to her was one of the hardest experiences I've ever dealt with, because I'm sitting there writing emails back and forth because she doesn't want to take phone calls for some reason, and she's responding maybe once every 2 or 3 days. And essentially it just keeps reiterating that there's nothing that can be done. And so eventually I said how unfair it was, and I brought up taking legal action about it. And then she switched her tune and said that the only thing we could do was get a $500 off the first month of rent be for a makeup concession. And so, being naive and stupid, I just accepted it because I was really exhausted from the entire experience. I was over communicating with someone who obviously just didn't want to communicate with an upset and disgruntled, rightfully so, I might add, customer. So I accepted it and moved on. And that was, I thought, the end of it. I thought that was going to be the end of any communication I would ever have with this individual. And unfortunately, it wasn't. I sent her a few follow-up emails just to say like that I appreciated her taking the time to talk to me, and just basically just thanking her for doing her job, by the way, like something that she didn't even really want to do. But I was trying to be the bigger person, trying to be nice, and man, I fucking should not have done that. She never responded to those, by the way. Just want to put those out there. She just blatantly fucking ignored them, which is fine. I get it. Not everyone wants to talk to a paying customer, you know, someone who was willing to get people to move to this apartment and things like that. Like, no one wants to communicate with someone who wants to help their business, right? So then after all of this, right, my girlfriend and I, we've been living here. We've literally never had a problem with anything. Became really close friends with the maintenance team, and we became really close with the rest of the leasing office. The person that originally like fucked our situation up was really apologetic. So pretty much after all of that, we decided that, hey, we're going to try to see how transferring units works. And we went to the leasing office to find out that there wasn't really anybody working right now. And it was a really odd thing to see. The leasing office was closed for like at least a good week, and my girlfriend and I didn't really think anything of it. I just said, we became pretty decently close with some of the people working here. So we came to find out that every single person that we had grown to connect with and who actually made living here enjoyable had left the company. And essentially, they had all left the company because of the community manager being an asshole. And that to me says everything that I need to say for the story. But it gets even better because then we go to the leasing office a second time a little bit later just to see if it's open, and it's open, and we get the chance to talk to the community manager face to face, and it was instantly a terrible experience. Like, I could tell that she just did not want to talk to me. You know, when you are a younger person and you are trying to make very valid points to someone who's a lot older than you, and you just feel it just by the way they're looking at you, how much they don't want to be there. That's essentially the feeling that I got while talking to her, and I brought it up to my girlfriend, and she said the exact same thing. She felt very belittled, and this is just something that is not a fun thing to experience. The company that we live at is such a big property management company in the state that we live in. So it seriously was baffling to have such a terrible experience. And I think that's the part that frustrates me so fucking much is I have honestly tried not to be a Karen. I've tried my best not to write any negative reviews or ask to speak to anybody higher than the community management team in terms of the fuck up that was done by the company end when I was trying to move in. I feel like I was pretty fair in asking for either a different apartment and the one that we had originally signed the lease for, but also B, getting the concession that I had signed the lease to get and that was on the original signee paperwork. But to be so disrespectful when a paying customer is talking to you is just so baffling to me. I don't understand it at all. It's just so fucking frustrating to think about. It was one of those conversations where the entire time we were talking, she was just rolling her eyes and sighing between every word and just not giving us any solutions for what we wanted to do. And it was just like, that's your entire fucking job, is to make money for the company, especially when there is no one else working there because of you being a piece of shit. I just don't get. Imagine you get your entire front office staff to quit, and then you just basically tell your customers to go fuck themselves. It's so baffling to me. I just can't even think about it. And it's gotten to the point where my girlfriend and I are very much considering just breaking our lease. It's not something that we want to really do because I'm not sure if it impacts my credit or not. I don't really know how breaking leases work because usually when I sign a lease, I stay there the whole time because it's a good experience. The only reason I feel comfortable making this video is because I really don't think my channel is big enough for this person to see it. But honestly, even if they do, I don't really give a shit because you're just such a piece of shit. It's amazing. I just can't even think of it. It's so insane. My working theory is it's the fact that we kind of got screwed over and made a little bit of noise about it. But then I also think it's because of my age. Like I look like I'm in my early 20s, and I guess a lot of people probably think I shouldn't be able to live in the place that I live in right now. And it's just, I don't know, shit like that is one of the most frustrating things. Man, sometimes you just like, you're in a conversation with someone and you think in your brain, you're like, I hope you get reality checked because I seriously don't know how you could even still have a job. Yeah, that's pretty much my story. This was a lot longer of a video than I initially thought it was going to be, so I kind of apologize for that. If this is something you enjoyed and want more of, let me know. I'll tell more stories. I have a decent amount of them. Yeah, I debated doing a video like this for a little bit. I know that my style is kind of going all over the place. I still am gaining a lot of subs though, from the Addicted to video, the Dragon Ball video that I did, and the Kingdom Hearts video I did. So I'm still going to be doing more formal reviews and Addicted to type game videos. But I also really like this style of video. It makes my videos feel a lot more personal. I feel like I think I'm able to insert my personality a lot more here because that's really what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to get a community that is here for me more than for the games I either play or talk about. Oh, you're such a... These fucking riots... Bye. I can't. Bye.